off a contract and you're in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months, you know it's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years. And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years. You know? They don't say it. They just keep getting checks month after month. And you have various things like that, and even much worse than that, actually, much worse. And I guess you call that incompetence, maybe. Yeah. It could be corruption. It could be deals made on both sides, you know, where the guy gets the money, he kicks. I think there's a lot of kickback here. I see a lot of kickback here. A tremendous kickback, because nobody could be so stupid to give out some of these contracts, so he has to get a kickback. So that's what I got elected for, that and borders and military and a lot of things, but this is a big part of it. And I hope that the court system is going to allow us to do what we have to do. We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And we've already found billions of dollars, not like a little bit, billions, many billions of dollars.
We're listening to an interview by Musk and President Donald Trump in regards to Doge.
That will have quite an impact on the budget. And you'll go to a judge where they handpick a judge and he has certain leanings. I'm not knocking anybody for that, but he has certain leanings. And he wants us to stop looking. How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million. $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants. All illegal, I believe.
They're being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Mr. Musk, I have a question.
Well, if I may sort of just go through the President's comments. At a high level, okay, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to have the budget deficit to $1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. But with the support of the President, we can cut the budget deficit in half, from 2 trillion to 1. And then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build. And if we do that, that means we can get the economic growth, maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you get $1 trillion in economic growth, cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion. Between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26. And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decrease. So everyone's mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario for the average American. I mean, imagine they go down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage, all their debt payments dropped. How great is that for the average American?
We had no idea we were going to find this much. And it's open. It's not like complicated.
It's not that complicated. It's just
like,
a lot of work. Yeah.
You can't believe it. A lot of work, a lot of smart people involved. Very, very smart people. But you're talking about anywhere maybe $500 billion. It's crazy the kind of numbers.
It's really crazy.
You know, normally
They missed an opportunity to say big balls is finding everything.
Here you're almost reversing it. You look for one that's good, and you can look at the title. And you say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And the public gets it. You know, the public gets it. You've seen the polls. The public is saying, why are we paying all this money? This is for years. This has gone on. Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Senator Rand Paul today said that Doge cuts will ultimately need a vote in Congress. Do you agree with that? Is that the plan?
I really don't know. I know we're finding tremendous fraud and tremendous abuse. If I need a vote of Congress to find fraud and abuse, it's fine with me. I think we'll get the vote, although there'll be some people that wouldn't vote. And how could a judge want to hold us back from finding all of this fraud and finding all of this incompetence. Why would that happen? Why would even Congress want to do that? No, Congress, if we do need a vote, I think we'd get a very easy vote because we have a track record now. We've already found billions of dollars of abuse, incompetence, and corruption. A lot of corruption.
If a judge does block one of your policies, part of your agenda, will you abide by that ruling? Will you comply with that order?
Abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he's slowed down the momentum. And it gives crooked people more time to cover up the books. You know, if a person's crooked and they get caught, other people see that, and all of a sudden it becomes water later on. So, yeah, the answer is I always abide by the courts. Always abide by it. And we'll appeal. But appeals take a long time, and I would hope that a judge, if you go into a judge and you show him, here's a corrupt situation, we have a check to be sent, but we found it to be corrupt. Do you want us to send this corrupt check to a person?
Well, let's see if
or do you want us not to give it and give
FSD
it back
handles
to
the
taxpayer?
closed road.
I would hope a judge would say, don't send it, give it back to the taxpayer.
Yeah, if I can add to that, what we're finding is that a bunch of the fraud is not even going to Americans.
Okay.
So I think we can all agree that if there's going to be a fraud, it should at least go to Americans. But a bunch of the fraud rings that are operating in the United States and taking advantage of federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually foreign fraud rings that are operating in other countries and actually exporting money to other countries. We should stop that. And this is big. With big numbers, we're about $100 to $200 billion a year. Serious. But
Mr. Musk, is it that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of contracts were sent to Gaza? But after fact-check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Haiti. It was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct? So we can trust what you say.
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. And we will make mistakes. We will act quickly to correct any mistakes.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. That's really an enormous number of condoms. But if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Mr. Musk, can you talk a little bit about how closely you're working with agency heads as you're directing these cuts? Do they have how much input do agency heads have when you're making these decisions?
Yeah, we work closely with agency heads, there are sort of
Oh, I
checks
see.
in
The
place.
house
So
is
going in and doing
on
things.
both sides.
It's in partnership with the agency heads, and I check frequently with the president to make sure that this is what the president wants to have happen. So almost every day, and I double check things to make sure, is this something, Mr. President, do you want us to do this? We'll do it.
USAID has been one of your main targets. Are you concerned at all that some of the cuts or that shutting that agency altogether may lead to diseases or other bigger problems starting in other countries that then come to the United States?
Yeah, so that's an interesting example. So that's something where we work closely with the State Department and Secretary Rubio. And we have, for example, turned on funding for Ebola prevention and for HIV prevention. Yes, correct. And we are moving fast, so we will make mistakes, but we will also fix the mistakes very quickly.
Do you see it as a worthy cause, USAID?
I think that there's some worthy things, but overall, if you say what is the bang for the buck, I would say it was not very good. And there was far too much of what USAID was doing was influencing elections in ways that I think were dubious and do not stand light of day.
I think just as a follow-up to the Pentagon contracts, if you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense, is that a conflict of interest?
Are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because you have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people like SpaceX or something who will be filing the contract. And I'd like to say, if you see any contract where the where it was awarded to SpaceX, and it was by far the best value for money for the taxpayer, no doubt, because every one of them was.
The president said the other day that you might look at treasuries. Could you explain that a little bit? What kind of fraud, or and that question goes to both of you, what kind of fraud are you expecting to see or do you see right now in U.S. treasuries?
I think you mean the Treasury Department as opposed to Treasury bills, or
You also referenced treasuries on your first one the other day.
well, as I mentioned earlier, really the first order of business is to make sure we're actually collecting. Sorry for this. Although my son might enjoy this, but he's sticking his fingers in my ears. So it's been hard to hear sometimes. Hey, stop that. No, the stuff we're doing with the Treasury Department is so basic that you can't believe it doesn't exist already. So for example, like I mentioned, just making sure that when a payment goes out, it has to have the payment categorization codes, like what type of payment is this? You can't just leave the field blank. Currently, many payments fields left blank, and you have to describe what's the payment for, some basic rationalization. That also is left blank. So this is why the Pentagon, last time the Pentagon passed an order to protect from making. And I'm like, ever? Really? And we want to, just in order to actually pass audits, you have to have financial information that allows you to trace the payments.